All right. So I'm really glad that you're here with me today as we dive into the deeper layers of some of the hidden causes of what may be contributing to your pain. And I think that for most of us, we have the understanding that there could be an emotional correlation to our pain. So maybe in the past, you've been told before that emotions might be playing a role in what you're experiencing, whether you're dealing with chronic pain, maybe you're dealing with headaches, or it could be even something like arthritis. But it often feels abstract of how do we find that connection? And maybe it's harder to really understand how that actually applies to us personally. Maybe we're just not sure how to explore it, how to explore this aspect of healing. And I think for some of us, let me know if you can relate to this, but there may be a fear of what we might uncover if we go there. So that's why we're going to dive into this today so that we can have a better understanding of some of the deeper layers that may be contributing to pain. And I'm also going to really demystify this so that we can kind of break it down so it's easier to understand, to see how it may be applying to what you're experiencing. And I also really want to give you some practical tools that you can use so that you can start working with this and work with these deeper layers that you may be experiencing yourself, because I get it. Diving into these layers, diving into maybe past trauma or past emotions that never really got fully processed, that can really feel intimidating. But I'll tell you from personal experience, it is so worth it. And it can really be one of the most rewarding parts of this healing journey. Because for myself, I know that the more that I have dived into these deeper layers, I've really found the freedom that has come from that and experienced a new degree of healing that I never knew was even possible before. So if this is your first time seeing this live stream or jumping on here, I'm Jenna and I am a movement and pain specialist. I've been doing this for 20 years, and so much of my experience comes from working with clients over the years, what I've discovered, and my own healing journey. So some of you may already know about my healing journey. For instance, the scoliosis that I have been working with since I was a teenager. I discovered when I was 14 years old that I had a 30-degree curve in my spine that I had never even known about before. I had no idea I had scoliosis. One day I went and had an exam and they told me, you have scoliosis that's, quite far progressed. It's progressed too far for you to even do bracing or do anything at this point other than surgery. You're going to have to get surgery. You're going to have to get a rod put in your spine. And I, at that time, luckily my mother, she didn't push me to get the surgery. She told me it was going to be my own decision. She really supported me. And I just said, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to find another way to work with this condition. And that's really what got me into yoga, and then later into Pilates, into body work, massage, and all the things I've explored and discovered over the years. That's really where it started, because I knew at a young age that I was going to have to work with this for my whole life, find ways to strengthen, find ways to condition and to avoid surgery. And I have been able to do that. But a big part of my journey was to explore some of the deeper layers of what's going on with this curve in my spine. Why do some people have this and some people don't? And when I started to explore the deeper layers, the emotional layers, what does this represent for me? I realized that as a child, I felt really unsupported in a lot of ways. I was a child of, divorce, and really experienced just this lack of connection and support from my family growing up that I really needed. And so it took me some time to uncover that And the more I did, the more I would unwind that and go into that through the support of therapists, through the support of coaches, then I would really reach a new plateau of my healing each and every time to feel that support from within. So this is really powerful work. And I wanted to mention the book, The Body Keeps the Score. This is an amazing, beautifully written book by Dr. Bessel van der Kolk. And he talks about in this book how our bodies hold on to these experiences. And in the case of trauma, or in the case of, stored emotions, they can really continue to influence our physical health long term, even after the event has passed. And one of the things that he says in his book that I found really impactful is, as long as you keep secrets and suppress information, you are fundamentally at war with yourself, because our body can keep these secrets. It can store these memories. It can store these emotions that we don't allow ourselves to fully feel. And so pain, in part, is the body's way of communicating that to us. And once we begin to acknowledge that these emotions are there, to allow them to surface in a safe way, then it can give our body permission to really start to release some of the tension that it has been holding for years. And I'm going to talk a little bit more today about how you can do that, how you can take that step today. And trauma, really, it's not just a memory that's stored in our mind. I know that, some people do believe this, but in my own personal experience and what I've read and what I've studied, it also is stored in the body. This stored tension and stress can manifest as physical pain. And it keeps our nervous system in a state of hypervigilance or dysregulation, which can really make it difficult and challenging for the body to relax and to heal. So we're not really going to dive into trauma and its impact on pain today, but we are going to do a live stream on that at the end of the month with Tracy Chester, who is the founder of the San Diego Chronic Pain Institute. She is a licensed marriage and family therapist. So please be on the lookout for that. I will post that in the events section. And if you are jumping on now, I'm just going to see if I can pull this up in the Facebook here. Then just please say hello, and I would just love to hear from you and let me know where you are tuning in from and how you are relating to this information so far. So let's talk about one of the most common emotions that can create symptoms in the body. This may be not what you think. This is probably one of the most hidden emotions, I would say, because when it comes to, say, anger, I think most of us know when we feel angry. We know that we're angry, or maybe we know that, okay, I deal with maybe having anger that I need to maybe process or learn how to manage better. But when it comes to shame, I think shame might be a little bit more challenging to understand, because it's a very powerful and deeply rooted emotion that can profoundly affect both our mental and physical well-being. And I think a lot of us don't really know that we are experiencing shame. And so I think that's why it's so important to uncover. For myself, when I first started to learn about shame, I didn't at first relate to it. I thought, well, I don't really deal with that. That's not something that's going on for me. But when I started to take a look at my own self-talk, and I did a live stream on this a few weeks ago called Positive Self-Talk, and I started to really, even take a look at the things that I would say to my friends or to my colleagues. I would notice this shaming language that I was using, where I was really shaming myself, even in the way that I was talking to myself. So Annis Nin once said, "Shame is the lie that somebody told you about yourself. I really love that quote because it really resonates with me. Shame often stems from a belief that there is something fundamentally wrong with us and something that we need to hide, that we're maybe afraid of revealing. But it didn't come from us, and it came maybe from our family members. It often came from, stems from childhood, the way we were raised or brought up to believe that something that we're doing is wrong or shaming. And these feelings can become deeply embodied in our subconscious mind and really make us feel like there is something fundamentally wrong with us. It can really influence also how we experience our bodies and how we experience shame. So I wanted to talk about this study. It's a long title, but I'll tell you the title in case you want to look it up for yourself. It's called Daily Fluctuations in Feelings of State of Shame Are Associated with Greater Daily Pain Severity and Interference. I'll tell you what that means. So this study involved 182 young adults and students. And every day they would give them a survey, they would talk to them and talk to them about how they were experiencing shame that would come up for them in their daily life. And this research found that shame predicted pain severity and pain interference on the days that the participants experienced more intense feelings of shame. They would then also experience more pain and worse mental health. So they would experience worse physical health and mental health. And essentially, the more shame people felt, the more intense their pain became and the more it interfered with their lives. So this study was really interesting, linking shame and pain directly. So when we hold on to shame, it keeps our nervous system in this state of dysregulation. And this can often be a freeze state. So I think many of us have heard of fight or flight. And there is also two other nervous system responses that we find, which is freeze and fawn. So the freeze state would be, say, an animal, a gazelle, for instance, is being chased by a lion. It realizes it's not going to be able to fight. It has absolutely no chance. So, okay, it's not going to fight. And it's probably not going to be able to run away either. It's not going to be able to flee because it's not going to make it. So its only option at that point is going to be to freeze and to shut down. And this actually creates a physiological response in the body. So even though you're not actually dying, it's signaling to the body to pretend that you're dying to protect yourself. And so we start to experience the shutdown in the nervous system. The breath starts to slow, the digestion starts to slow. And that's the freeze state. And a lot of people just go about their daily life not recognizing that this is a nervous system state that they are stuck in. But the beautiful thing is that this can actually change, that this can be released and that we can come out of this freeze state. And one of the ways we can do this is to take a look at some of these emotions that we have been holding on to that have really been negatively impacting us. Because, shame can really keep us stuck in this cycle of tension, of self-judgment. It can lead to even, increased pain sensitivity, which can really hinder our ability to heal. And so that's why it's really important to bring awareness to this and to begin the process of releasing it. Another way that shame shows up when it comes to being in pain is you may feel like you're not doing something right. So I've seen this a number of times in my clients where they just feel like they're maybe not doing the program right or not doing the exercises right, the right routine. And maybe they feel like they just can never get it right no matter what they do, that they're always doing it wrong. How many people can relate to that? I think that's a really common experience for many of us, that we just feel like we can't get it right. We're never gonna do it right. So we're not going to be able to achieve our goal, whether it's a health goal, a fitness goal. And so, maybe you're also blaming yourself a lot or beating yourself up about something that you did, being very self-critical. That is also shame. And this is called toxic shame because there's a normal response if somebody tells you, hey, you did something wrong. It's quite normal to just feel a little bad about that, maybe feel shame for a moment. But then we were meant to then be able to just release that and say, okay, well, I did something wrong and that's okay. I'll just do better next time. Toxic shame is that deeper shame that's really programmed inside of our subconscious mind, where we've really taken it on as part of our identity of this is who I am now. And so that's why it so deeply can impact us. And so if this is resonating with you, if this feels like maybe something that you may be dealing with, my first suggestion would be to just really have compassion for yourself. And so you can even do that right now. If this is something that is resonating with you, you can take a moment to turn to yourself and say, it's okay that I am experiencing this. This is a normal emotion, and this also doesn't belong to me. This was a learned emotion. It's not a reflection of who I truly am. And just having that love, that self love, and that self compassion can be so, so, so powerful. So that would be the first step that I would take if you're resonating with this. And I also just, want you to take a moment to just tune into how your body's feeling as you hear this information. And what are you noticing in your system? How is your breath? And we can even take a moment to orient to our environment. That's one of the ways that we can find safety, is looking around in the environment and finding something that feels pleasing. Maybe it's a tree outside your window. Turning to nature can be really supportive. And so this is another way that we can work with these emotions as they're coming up, is to find safety in our body, or find safety around us by orienting to our environment. This is another way to do it. We can start taking a few deep breaths and just noticing what's arising. And you can just remember that you're not alone if this is something that you've noticed is going on for you. This is very, very common. So we don't want to be shaming ourselves for having shame. That's very common too. So we want to just acknowledge that this isn't your fault. If this is something that you're experiencing, that is totally okay. And that there are ways to work with this and ways to release it. So if you want to further explore this, what I would suggest is journaling about it. It's so powerful to write down our thoughts and just write down what's coming up for us. It can be incredibly healing on this journey. And you can just give yourself some time to just start writing down, when did I first notice these thoughts around, I'm not doing things right? When did you notice you're being really critical about yourself? And maybe even dive into, when did I first start to experience this? Where did this even come from? So that you can, start to untangle these beliefs about yourself and recognize that they weren't you. They're not truly who you are. That can be a really powerful thing to do, a step on the journey. So we're going to talk a little bit more about the nervous system and ways that you can release these stuck or pent up emotions from the nervous system. But this first step is having the awareness. It's really pausing to ask yourself, like, what am I feeling right now? And where am I feeling it in my body? And that way we can really become aware of the subconscious beliefs or the emotions that might be stored in your body by creating a moment to just kind of pause, to have that body awareness and develop that communication, that presence with your body. We can often be so disconnected from our bodies. For some folks, that when we first start to do this, it can actually feel really foreign and even a little scary to do this, to start really connecting to the body. And that's why it can be supportive to do this in a group, because we can all, help each other in this process, help support each other, that to learn that we're not alone on this journey. And when we talk about nervous system regulation, one of the best things that we can do is, as we develop this awareness, we start to listen to the signals of the body, the communication, as I mentioned before, and we start to follow the impulses of the body. So this is a practice. It's about learning to become aware of our sensations and our movements maybe, and emotions without judging ourselves. So this really helps us to find our way back into balance, because if we're disconnected from our bodies, and maybe we're doing that as a survival response, which totally makes sense, because if we're experiencing a lot of pain in our body, then it would be really natural to want to disconnect from that, to want to disassociate from the body, to not have to experience that. But that can, over time, just make our symptoms worse, right? It doesn't make it actually go away. So an important step in the healing journey, an important part of this healing, is reconnecting with ourselves, reconnecting with the body's signals, the body's messages, and really starting to listen and understand, what is the body saying to us, and how can we develop this relationship and listen to it. So really, kind of, I would say it's simple, but it's not quite simple, because if we're just learning how to come back into the body, how to listen to the body, then sometimes that can be a little scary at first, and that's totally natural and totally normal. But some really practical tool that you could practice today is just notice when you say have to go to the bathroom. We often can maybe just hold it in. Maybe you're at work and you're not able to get up and go. But a lot of times we sort of just ignore the body's signal of like, okay, I have to get up and I have to go pee. That's a very basic physical urge. And sometimes we don't listen to it. And then that makes the body think, okay, well, I'm not really safe here, because I'm just going to be ignored, and these like natural physical like impulses that I have aren't being listened to. So when we start to listen to the body, we start to trust its signals, and then we start to develop a deeper relationship with it, and our body goes, okay, so now I'm safe, right? And that's how we first start to develop that safety in our body. So that would be my first suggestion, is to start to notice these impulses that arise throughout the day. Maybe you're thirsty, maybe you're really hungry and you need to get up and get a snack. So just listening to that so that your body feels safe and it feels supported. Another example is, say you're feeling, tension in your chest. You may want to move, you may want to sway, and you may want to just get up from your chair. Like I notice even as I'm sitting here, my leg is going a little numb, and I've been ignoring it because I've been talking, right? So I'm gonna just uncross my legs. I'm gonna maybe adjust in my chair here and listen to my body, let the blood flow back into my legs, not just ignore that signal that my body is giving me that it's uncomfortable, right? So this maybe seems really basic, but I think you can also get a sense of how powerful this can be in order to teach the body about internal safety. Okay. So let me know how this is landing for you so far, how this is, resonating for you. And If you're wanting more support with this, it can be, really helpful to have someone guide you through this process, to learn to listen to the body's signals, which can really help to bring the system back into a more regulated state, a state of safety. So when we're in fight or flight or freeze, our body is not able to pay attention to those impulses. And, this also goes for healing. The body isn't able to do what it needs to do to heal itself. And so that's why it's so important that we're able to give ourselves this time to down regulate, to come out of that hyper vigilance and to find safety, balance, have moments where, okay, we're recognizing that everything's okay here. There's no threat, and the body goes, oh, okay, now I can heal. So hopefully that makes sense. And, as we wrap up today, I hope you've begun to see how our emotions are connected to what we may be experiencing in the body, the pain that we may be experiencing, and how nervous system regulation can really have a powerful impact on our body's ability to heal. Pain isn't always just a physical problem. It can be deeper than that. And as we uncover these layers, then we really allow our body the chance to do what it was meant to do, because our body knows what to do. Our body knows how to heal. So when we just allow it to do that, we are, giving space for that inner healer to come forth and do what it needs to do to heal the body. So this is a great place to start by just noticing, journaling, as we talked about earlier, and then following the impulses and the signals of the body, getting up to move if your legs are going numb because you've been sitting for too long, allowing yourself to drink some water, allowing yourself to get up and go to the bathroom if you need to. And that gives the body this sense of safety. So that's a really great place to start. And if this resonated with you and you would like more support with this, please reach out to me. You can comment Thrive below and I will send you a message and we can connect, or you can send me a private message. And I also look forward to seeing you on Monday. We will do our usual live stream as scheduled at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And in that live stream, we are going to be talking about 3 exercises you can do to strengthen your back. So we're going to be moving from the emotional aspect of healing to the physical again, because this holistic approach is really what I do in my Thrive Beyond Pain program, where we're not just looking at the physical cause of pain, but we're also looking at the emotional, the subconscious layers, and we're weaving it all together in this beautiful holistic way for pain relief, my 3 pillars of pain relief. And so I will see you on Monday. And if you're just tuning into this live stream, watching the replay, then please comment replay below so I know that you have been here and enjoying this live stream today. And I will see you on the next one.